Welcome to the replay of the Wellness Cafe live Q and A session. Today we have Rachael Kable tuning in from Australia. When Australia are you from?
I'm originally from the country in northeast Victoria, so I'm actually at home right now at my mum's place having a bit of a visit for a couple of days. So it's beautiful. There's just mountains and I'm looking out my window and she's got such a beautiful garden. So I actually live in Melbourne now, but I love coming back here. It's so beautiful.
Awesome. Well, welcome to have you. It's been a pleasure because we did our episode last time, probably 6-7 months ago, and it been received really well. And that's why I wanted to invite you back on the show today.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Today we're going to be talking about mindfulness in the digital age because God knows that we are living in a hyper distracted world. So that's why I want to kind of bring Rachael on to share with us her wisdom, tips, insights, or even techniques on how to be more mindful and present. And maybe that can help with stress and anxiety and help you live a better quality of life. So thanks again for coming on, Rachael.
Yeah, no worries. I can't wait to do a live thing. I've never done it before, so.
All right, cool. For those of you who are listening right now, say hi. Where are you tuning in from? Tell us a little bit about where you're coming in from. We got a few people on board right now.
Oh, cool.
And we'll take the live questions first. And if we don't have any, we'll just kind of go into the ones that we received in the email. So go ahead and type away if you have any questions for Rachael regarding sleep, stress, mindfulness, and meditation. She also runs a podcast, a fellow podcaster called The Mindful Kind, and congratulations on hitting your 1 million hits. That's a huge number. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. Thanks.
Awesome. I think we're still waiting for people to come in. So let's just go ahead and start because since we were talking about how we're living in a hyper-distracted world, I have this one question from Sarah. She says that my boyfriend is on his phone often while we're at dinner, and that's frustrating to me because he's not being present. How do I approach this without turning it into a fight? Wow.
Great question. That's an awesome question. I'm so excited to be starting with that one. So I have a couple of thoughts about that because it's something that I actually used to have the same experience with. My boyfriend was very distracted by social media. Actually, my ex-boyfriend, not my current one, because, trained him to be mindful. But being present with someone, it's not that difficult to do, but sometimes when we're not quite on the same page, it can be really hard to express how important that is to us. So I guess that's the first thing that I would recommend is to avoid turning it into a fight by focusing on how you feel and what you would like. I see so many people talking to their partners in a way that is you, or you should, or you shouldn't. And that can actually put up our defenses. If someone is coming at you saying you should be doing this or you should be doing that, it can be quite confronting, and our reaction is often to to say something not so nice back, and that's where the fight can escalate. So I would really recommend focusing on how you feel, saying something like, I would really appreciate if we could spend some time together and maybe pop your phone away. I would love to talk to you about whatever, I would love to spend some quality time with you. Focus on the positives of the situation. Like, what do you actually want to get out of being mindful with this person? For me, when I do spend time with my partner and our dog, it's precious, that time to me is very special, and we are very clear on that spending quality time is something that's important to the both of us. Whereas when you're with someone where your values, I guess, don't quite align, it can be difficult, and it can take a little bit of time to compromise. Maybe it starts off with You could say, maybe a couple of nights a week we can have a technology-free dinner. We don't have the TV on, or we don't have our phones. We take some time to connect with each other and to talk, and to even go out to a restaurant. It's quite nice to go out for a date night and not have your phones, not be on social media or anything like that. Just be taking that time to spend together. So those would be my tips. Focus on how you can express what you would like to have. Keep your ideas quite positive. So I would love to be doing this. I would love to be doing this, rather than you shouldn't be doing that because it annoys me or frustrates me or anything. It's like, I would love to spend time with you because I love you and I care about you. And thirdly, compromise if you need to. Do just a couple of nights a week, or go out to a restaurant one night a week. Make it work for your lifestyle, and just compromise.
Yeah, I totally agree on that one, because when you start saying, hey, you need to do this, then it automatically comes off as offensive, right? Or that person receiving, how would he feel when somebody tells you you should do this or you shouldn't do this? It's usually doesn't really end well. So I guess the approach start with empathy, coming from, hey, you know what, I love you, I want this to be better for both of us, and there's by you being distracted, a certain part of me is not fulfilled, and can we change that, or how do you compromise, I guess. So
Yeah, and it can be quite difficult to do sometimes. And, often our partners don't understand that we are thinking something, and we're like, it is so obvious to me what I want out of this situation, but they don't read our minds and they don't know. And it's the same with us as well. Sometimes my partner will say something to me and I don't even realize it. Like, I will be on social media and he's like, oh, can we just sit here and watch this movie and, maybe not go on your phone? And I'm like, oh, I'm not really that interested in the movie or watching the footy. I'll just check what's happening on Instagram. But he tells me, and I'm open now to hearing, I'm open, I guess, to being able to take his view and his perspective on board and be like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't be on my phone right now. Like, this is supposed to be our time to be watching a movie. And because he's very media minded, he loves being able to discuss the movie. So of course, if I haven't really been paying attention, then we can't have a discussion about that.
Right. And just embrace it as the time together and how it's precious to be in the present moment. All right. We have another question in from Kenny. Welcome, Kenny. As a small business owner that just went through a brief experience of anxiety, stress while waiting for a decision that ultimately resulted in an unfavorable decision, how can we better prepare and react to such anxiety, especially when it's out of your control? That's a great question.
Yeah, that is a really great question.
Thanks,
so yeah, thank you. And hi, Kenny. It is a great question. So I also have a small business, and there have definitely been times when it's been stressful or things have fell out of my control. Or, even last week I went up to Sydney for a couple of days, and my email inbox, it just seemed to be that the day that I left, I started getting so many emails. I was like, oh my gosh, this is really stressful. And I guess what you need to be able to do is to prioritize your own self-care and your own state of mind. I've found that is something that I have had to learn how to do. I am a people pleaser, and if I had it my way, I would be answering my emails as soon as I got them. But that's just not a sustainable way for me to live, especially now that I am getting a lot of emails. I just can't do that. So I've started to set it up that I send out an automatic message to say, there might be a couple of days before I can respond to your email. And I know that takes the pressure off me having to respond straight away. So starting to, I guess, identify what your stress triggers are and start putting in some plans around that. And even if it is out of your control, there are other things that you can do to minimize that. So for example, getting emails, that's out of my control, but creating this message for people to receive, letting them know that I'm just me, I'm just a person. I might seem like a brand or a business, but I'm a team of, myself and my partner who does my all my graphics and filming and photography and things like that. I don't have a team, and I can't be onto everything all the time. And it depends on what your problem is, but I would definitely suggest prioritizing your own self-care when you can, because if it's kind of like that thing where if you don't have a full cup of self-care, and then you can't be giving as much as you would like to be giving in your business. It's going to manifest in other ways, your stress, and impact your business in different ways. So, for example, if I was trying to respond to emails as fast as possible, they're probably not going to be the best quality emails that I could send. Whereas if I take that time to write them the way that I would like to, even if it means there's a couple of days turnaround, then that feels better for me anyway. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
And I guess I'll take it to a next level too. I guess he was talking about the loan specifically. So it's such a huge decision, or a huge thing for a business, whether it can determine whether it's going to go left or right. Right, the future is so, it's out there. It's open game, and once while he waits, what can he do specifically besides just prioritizing self-care? I guess like more of that would be like a concept. How about like strategies, I guess?
Yeah, cool. So while you're waiting, if you do notice any stressful thoughts arising, that is a really great opportunity to practice mindfulness or meditation. So, for example, when I do start to feel like, oh, my anxiety is starting to creep up, I'm feeling very stressed, I'm struggling to sleep at night, I notice all those impacts of stress. So that's when I know that I need to, again, prioritize self-care, meditation, mindfulness. Even if it's something as simple as going to a yin yoga class, for me, that's my safe space. That's where I know I can leave my thoughts at the door, take an hour just for myself, pay attention to my body, pay attention to my breath, start to relax a little bit more, and then I can leave and have a fresh mind. So I guess know what you can do that will help you to feel better in stressful situations. For me, it is yin yoga, or taking my dog down to the park and having a play with him down there, or going to bed early and reading a book. Know what makes you feel good, and then start doing that at every opportunity that you have. Try not to focus on predicting outcomes, what will be essentially. So you might as well have a good time while you wait, because you can't affect the outcomes. And I found this quite recently. I was up for an award last week, and there was about 4 or 5 months, I think. And, there are times when I was like, oh, I would be so excited to win and it would be amazing. But, there's no point in me getting all caught up in that, because I don't decide whether or not I'm going to win the award. And in the end, I didn't win. And I wasn't that disappointed. I was like, oh, okay, it happened. That's okay. I'll find other ways to do the things that I want to do. And, there was quite a lot of prize money involved, and I'd already planned out in my head how I would spend it. And then I looked at what I wanted to buy, and I was like, oh, I can do this now anyway, even without winning this award. So I guess it is starting to realize that, yes, you don't always have control over the things that will happen to you, but you do have control over other choices that you make. So for me, it's like, well, maybe I'll spend my own money on this thing that I really wanted to get. Maybe I'll take out a loan. Maybe I'll, make some kind of investment. So yeah, I think just taking the time to do the things that you really like, and watching out for those stressful, everyone has their own signs and symptoms of stress. So being aware of what those are, and then kind of looking at it like, if you're dehydrated, then you have a glass of water. If you're stressed, then you do your self-care practice. Right. That's kind of the way I look at it.
And that's such a great tip, to know what that is for you, right? For you, it's yin yoga. For me, it's going for a walk, and for Kenny, it may be some other thing. And just do more of that, and be more aware that, hey, you know what? I feel stressed right now. Let's allocate some time and prioritize whatever that is for you. So
yeah.
All right. So next one from Joshua: how to be more mindful when you notice yourself scrolling through social media feed every time there is a downtime. Gosh, that's such a good one, because I do that too. I'll start. I guess I'll start just to add a little bit of that answer. I use this app called Break Free. So it basically locks your phone, and the moment you're unlocking it, it asks you, do you really need to check the phone? So that helps about 30 to 40% of the time. So I'll just give that over to you.
Cool. Yeah, that's a really good tip, using an app like that. And, often it is kind of mindless. We pick up our phone and we open it up and we check it, and it's so easy that sometimes we don't even notice that we're doing it. And I also noticed this when I started working from home. I'd have my computer and I'd be typing. I'd also have my phone next to me. And every now and again, I'd just pick it up and I would not even think about it. I'd just be on social media and end up wasting half an hour when I should have been doing my business work. And I got quite frustrated with myself, and I was like, why can't I stop myself from doing this? But anyway, what I started doing was putting my phone on the other side of the room, so that I actually had to physically get up out of my chair, go and get my phone, bring it back, sit down, and then open it up. It just, that little bit of a break in between stopping whatever I was doing and picking up my phone was enough of an incentive to not look on social media. So that's one little tip that I like to share. But also, social media detoxes are kind of becoming pretty mainstream now. A lot of people are talking about doing that. I have tried it out myself. It didn't always go great. Like, I decided I wouldn't check my phone after 8 p.m. Some nights it was awesome, and then a couple of other nights Jack was like, oh, Rach, it's 8:30 or 9 o'clock and you're on your phone, and I just completely forgot about it. So starting to set alarms at 8 o'clock saying, time for you to switch off from your phone, go and read a book, do something else, just having that little bit of a reminder to not be on social media after 8 o'clock at night was really nice for me. And also not to check it in the morning before I get out of bed, because I got in this really bad habit of I'd wake up, do a meditation, roll over, check my phone. So now it's like, wake up, do a meditation, get up, go have a shower, have my breakfast, get ready for the day, and then I can have a look at my phone, and that's fine. So I guess just putting your own boundaries in place for whatever suits you. Maybe you love having your phone at night, and that's fine too. Like, do what works for you.
Right. And just block that low time. I guess start small, right? Start by making a small commitment, like, hey, you know what? 1 hour before bed, or 30 minutes or 15 minutes before bed, I'm not going to check my phone. And then it slows down the compulsion, and you start gaining awareness. And I think that's a good point to start. So
yeah, definitely. And the more that you do that, the more that you start to question yourself when you are using your phone. When it is after 8 o'clock now, I don't have the social media detox still in place, but I am a lot more aware of when I'm picking up my phone to just scroll through social media or to check it.
Right.
And especially with emails as well, it's like the last thing that you want to do before you go to bed is to find an email that you feel like you should respond to straight away. So for me, that was a really big lesson that I had to learn. Right.
And you reply at 11 o'clock at night, she's not going to respond anyways, or that person is not going to respond anyways. So listeners tuning in right now, we are live with Rachael Kable doing a live Q&A session on the topic of mindfulness in the digital age. So we were just talking about how to be mindful and notice yourself more, and not scroll through social media feed every time there's a downtime. And we're talking about we should be doing a social media detox right before bed. So that kind of leads us into the next question from Carolyn. It says that I can't fall asleep because I'm thinking all the time, how do I turn my mind off?
I love this question. This one really resonates with me, because falling asleep at night used to be so difficult, and I would often wake up during the night and then not be able to fall back asleep either, or wake up really early before my alarm went off and already my mind's in planning and preparation mode. And yeah, not getting good quality sleep it has such an impact and influence in how you live your life, from how you feel to how well you concentrate to your energy levels. Getting good sleep is fundamental to being able to live the kind of life that you want to live. And that is something that I have had to learn myself.
That's true.
So when I started learning about mindfulness, one of the first things that did have a bit of an impact on was my sleep. And it was amazing. And that was one of the reasons why I started to become so passionate about mindfulness in the first place. So I have a lot of strategies which I like to use. Mostly breathing meditations work really well for me personally, because you don't need to have your phone on, you don't need to have any guidance or assistance to be able to do them. basically there are lots of different ones that you can do. So breathing in for 3 counts and holding for 3 counts, breathing out for 3 counts. It's called the breathing waltz, and I learned this one at the Anxiety Recovery Centre when I was volunteering on the helpline. So that is something that we helped people with when they were having a panic attack or anxiety attack. So that's a really powerful way just to start concentrating on your breath, to switch off those thoughts, and to also consciously start to slow down. Like you might notice at the start that you're breathing in 1, 2, 3, hold 1, 2, 3, out 1, 2, 3, and then you notice that it's quite fast, and then you can start to slow it down, breathing in 1, 2, 3, hold 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So you can start to experiment with slowing down your breath, which in turn shows your body that it's safe, helps us to switch off that stress response and slows down all those thoughts. Another one which I really love to do if I wake up during the night, I find this one works for me really well because it's kind of, how in counting sheep, you're supposed to kind of picture the sheep like jumping along, and I could never do that. But what I like to imagine is something that I've called the breathing stairs. So as I breathe in, it goes up the stair, and as I breathe out, it goes along the stair. Breathing in, up the stair, breathing out, along the stair. And I just kind of follow that line with my mind. Some people, I've run this one in workshops, and some people are like, I really like to imagine my breath going down the stairs because that feels to them like it helps them unwind. I personally like going up the stairs. I don't know why. And you can also imagine that at the top of the stairs, there's calm or there's relaxation. You feel like you're working towards this thing which you would like to achieve. So that one works really well for me just because having that visual element helps to switch off those thoughts again. And I often find myself falling asleep really quickly when I do that.
Okay, well, that's such a great one. And I really liked when you first mentioned how our counts was really fast in the beginning. And as we kind of slow down, the count slows down as well. That's really cool. And what I do personally is, this may sound strange, but I feel the bed and I just feel like, oh my God, my bed is so comfy. This is amazing.
Yeah, and that's so mindful.
That helps every time.
Yeah, that's a great thing to do. Body scans as well, I just had a thought. They're really nice to do. I like doing them before I go to bed. Like you have your legs up the wall because that's a nice way to calm down the body as well. Starting your attention at your toes and consciously relaxing each part of your body. Usually what I like to do is focus on one part of the body, take a breath in, and then as I exhale, imagine that part of the body relaxing, letting go of tension. So that's a nice way to kind of progressively move your attention through your body and relax.
Interesting, because I used the exact technique and I didn't know what it was called, but I used that in the isolation tank. And the tank that you go in and with full with Epsom salt water. And in the beginning, it's so hard to relax. So what I do is just start to scan and check to see if my feet relax. If not, then I relax that like one part at a time. But I haven't tried it in bed yet, so maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, it's amazing. We don't realize how much tension we actually hold in our bodies until we start to consciously let go of that.
Definitely. Wow. All right. Well, we've covered quite a bit of ground here today. We're going to start to wrap up here. For those who just joined in, we're live with Rachael Kable of the Mindful Kind podcast. And we're talking about mindfulness in the digital age. And we were just talking about how to, it's funny because we're broadcasting this on social media, and we were just talking about social media detox, and I just see the irony in that, and I can
I know, I love that too.
So, last question from Amanda here. How can I use meditation to uncover the root of an ongoing internal battles that I am experiencing but can't really identify? Can you find it through mindfulness and meditation? Wow, this is a huge one.
Wow, yeah, Amanda, that's a great question. So for me personally, I have found that mindfulness and meditation very naturally brings up internal things, and they are a little bit easier to identify. So, for example, my granddad had a stroke about a month ago, and I thought I was dealing with it pretty well. You know, we were talking about the next steps and making a plan to come and see him, and, you know, I was keeping in contact with my family. So yeah, I thought it was going pretty good. And then I went to yoga, I think 2 nights after it happened, and almost the whole time I just felt like I was about to cry. I honestly, like, it just brought up all these thoughts, all these worries, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I haven't been dealing with this as well, anywhere near as well as I thought that I was, you know, but that's okay. I'm just going to allow myself this time. Obviously, there are some things here that I need to feel and that I need to experience. That's all right. I came home and I felt much clearer and calmer, even though I had gone through that experience of worrying and stressing. And while I was at yoga, I was like, oh, I can't wait until this is over, which of course isn't very mindful of me, but hey, I'm human. And when I got home, I did realize, you know, I needed to feel those things. I needed to have those thoughts. Obviously, I didn't even quite realize that I was suppressing them. And there are so many people that do this for their whole lives or for years and years. And I think that mindfulness and meditation can be very difficult for some people because it brings up those thoughts and those feelings. And suddenly they realize that they're trying to deal with all these things that they're not ready to deal with or they're not equipped to deal with. So for me, what I would love to recommend is to go and see a professional, you know, go and talk to a psychologist or a counselor. I promise they're not as scary as maybe you might think that they are. I see one, I've seen many over the years. They are so wonderful at helping you to uncover your thoughts and to look at patterns and to identify why you think or why you feel or why you behave the way that you do. That is what they are there for. You know, if you're sick with a headache or with any type of physical illness, you know, you go to the doctor and you allow them to help you. It's exactly the same. You know, there is nothing wrong with going to see someone to help support you. Even if you're feeling great, you know, I still go and see one because it helps me to reflect. It helps me to get new ideas. It helps me to move through difficult situations with, you know, with support. They are so supportive, but find one who you resonate with too. Like there have been a couple that I've seen and I was like, oh, I don't totally love being around you. That's fine. I'm sure that there are other people that do resonate with that person, but it wasn't for me. You find someone who you do enjoy spending time with and talking to and feel supported by, and that's great. Something else that I would like to recommend is journaling. It can really help us to identify a lot of thoughts. So having a journal and just writing, just free writing, and just see what comes up. You know, set your timer for 5 or 10 minutes. Even if you can't think of what to write, just say, I don't know what to write. Or maybe, you know, I'm feeling like this is kind of a weird thing to be doing because I have nothing to say. Just keep writing, keep going, even if it's like colors or things that you can see around you, just start writing anything, and thoughts and feelings will probably come up in that time, or at least start to help you start thinking about what those thoughts that you might have been burying a little bit.
Right, and you said clearly journaling can be a great tool to uncover that, because sometimes it's just different layers, right? Bunch of layers, and you don't really know. You see almost like a symptoms of something deeper. So the feeling is kind of murky, but the more you're able to articulate it, the more you get in touch with it, the more you ask, I guess, better questions, the more you get to almost like connect the dots and find and learn more about yourself along the way. And maybe, yeah. So I really like that. So
definitely. And that comes back to sleep as well. You know, sometimes we are most active in our minds when we go to bed because we have spent the whole day being busy or not listening to our minds and slowing down and taking that time to reflect or be a bit internal. So of course, when we lie down at the end of the day in our bed and we're safe and we have the time to be thinking all of these things, of course, that's when the thoughts and everything is going to come up. So for me, I find journaling before I go to bed to be really useful. I do it pretty much every night. And it just helps me to get those thoughts which are ready for me to hear but it stops them from interfering with my sleep. Instead, they're going onto a page where they can just be. I've listened to them, I've heard them, I've maybe reflected on them, I've understood them. My mind feels like it's safe enough to now relax and go into sleep mode.
All right. Very cool. Well, thanks again, Rachel, for coming on the show and just share with us some of your wisdom and tips and techniques. And really appreciate your time here on the show on the Wellness Cafe. And hopefully we get to do more of this. And yeah, it's been a good time.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Where can people learn more about you and find you besides your Mindful Kind podcast on iTunes?
Yeah, so I also have a website at rachaelkable.com, and it's RachaelKable. So there's lots of blog posts, and I have a free members library. So I've got worksheets and workbooks and meditations and checklists and all kinds of things in there. So I would love to have you join my little community. I send out an email every Monday with a mindfulness action tip for the week, with weekly insights into my own life. So what's working, what I've been enjoying, what I'm reading, just things like that. And also, if you want to come and find me on social media, I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest. Yeah, I would love to meet you. Let me know that you watched this so I can say hello and thanks for watching.
Absolutely. And if you find this video helpful, go ahead and like it and share it so more people can learn about mindfulness and meditation. And that's what we hear. That's what we are about at the Wellness Cafe too, is how to live a good life, right? How to have a better quality of life. And I think mindfulness and the ability and the capacity to be able to have control over your mind, or at least have your emotional under control, is critical. And that's going to lead into your financial, that's going to lead into your relationships, your career, everything, right? So, all right. Once again, check out Rachael Kable at rachaelkable.com, and also listen to her podcast. She has a wonderful podcast as well. So thanks again for tuning in. Like and share right now. All right. See you guys.
See ya.